Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend and colleague I'm looking for another job after she was promoted instead of me? Original post. I, 42 male, have been at my job for 8 months now, but I've known my manager, deputy manager, and another colleague for a few years. I worked with them for 2 years and left to go to my last job in 2019, where I stayed until last year. When I was talking to my manager when I was going for this job, I told him that I have ambition and I wanted to leave that job because I was working as well as a manager, but not being paid or recognized for it. And he said that this role would be restructured when people leave or retire this year. And basically, as he remembers how good a worker I was, I'd definitely be in consideration for a senior or managerial role. So I've been there 8 months, passed my probation, and done really well. I have a colleague from my last place, 36 female, who I worked with for the last 2 years, and we're actually good friends too. I also know her husband really well from back in the day. I actually approached her for the job and put in a good word for her. She's brilliant in her jobs, very quick learner and really proficient. And truth be told, she's been doing really well since she started in May. I've also been training her. Sod's law, though, that I left my last place because they refused to promote anyone and didn't want a manager. But as soon as I left, they promoted her and gave her a pay rise to try and keep her. I had last week off on annual leave, and when I came back this week, my manager took me to one side for a meeting on Monday. He told me he wanted me to know before anyone else that the restructure is now happening and they're creating a supervisor role. And my colleague is the one who's been offered the job. He knew I was gutted about it, and I asked him why her. And he said basically as good as I am, he thinks she would be better as a manager and has more qualities that suit it. And also as she's technically been a senior in the last role, it looks better to higher ups. I said I wasn't happy and that I want to be a manager one day, and he said that I'm an amazing employee, probably the most reliable on my team and technically the most proficient, but he doesn't think I have the qualities to be a manager. I was just so deflated I zoned out for the rest of his spiel and went back to work afterwards. He announced it, and everyone was all happy for her and congratulating her. I basically was quiet. I messaged her later on about it, trying to joke around as we have that sort of humor. I was all like, thanks a lot for nicking my job mate, really appreciate it. She was trying to be all sympathetic back, saying, no, I'm so sorry, I feel so bad. How do you feel? I said basically I'm going to look for another job. I don't think I can stay there after that. She was going like, no, don't leave. Is it because of me? I said yeah, basically. I'm done. And she went, please don't. I'll need you now more than ever. I said, you'll be fine. Just don't get a job wherever I go and steal my promotion again, mate, LOL. She didn't reply and left me on 2 blue ticks. I've been doing the bare minimum the rest of this week, especially on my working from home days. I've updated my CV and am applying for other jobs. She's tried to talk to me this week and so have others, but I feel like I just want to get out of there. Am I the a-hole for being honest with her and looking for another job? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. The most reliable on my team and technically the most proficient, but doesn't think I have the qualities to be a manager. Okay, I think I see the problem. I'll need you now more than ever. Your colleague also sees the problem. You are too valuable in your current role to promote. Considering that at worst you've been doing your job well while acting as a trainer and recruiter, I'd want to keep you in that role as well. Reliability can be a curse. At your exit interview, name drop the manager who bluntly told you that you have no chance of advancement in the company. Not the a-hole. That's the problem. I'm seen as patient and reliable, so I always get given the task to train and mentor new people. And then those people get promoted ahead of me. If mentorship and training aren't adding to your compensation or potential for advancement, why are you providing it? Good question. It's just something I've done for so long in so many jobs. It's just always something I've done. Maybe I should stop or refuse it now. Not the a-hole. You were upfront about your ambitions. Your boss dangled the possibility of promotion and then handed it to someone else, someone you literally helped bring in and trained. That's a kick in the teeth. Your colleague isn't the villain here. She applied. She's good at her job, and management chose her. But your feelings are valid. It hurts to be told you're the most reliable and technically strong but not management material. That's a polite way of saying we'll use you forever as the dependable worker bee but never reward you. You didn't sabotage her. You didn't make a scene. You made a couple of slightly salty jokes and then decided to update your CV. That's just reality. If a company shows you they don't see you in leadership, believe them and move on. The only thing is, don't take it out on her. She didn't steal your promotion. Management never planned to give it to you. Yeah, I don't think I have it in me to sabotage anyone on purpose. I think, though, I probably won't stay friends after this. I have too bad a taste in my mouth now. Now for the first update. Okay, so before my update, just to clarify, mainly regarding the way I reacted to my colleague who was promoted, and the criticism that I shouldn't take it out on her, and that I was unprofessional in how I acted. Yep, 100% I'll own that. I probably was unprofessional. But in my defense, one of the reasons I accepted this job was because I told my manager I was leaving my last place since they kept promising me promotion, and it never happened, and he said I would be in contention for a senior role here. And then I've trained her twice, only for her to now be my boss, with me having to report to her, and her telling me what to do. It's happened to me before, and it never ends well. The promoted person always treats you like crap and lets it go to their head. So now for the actual update. My manager took me aside for a meeting on Tuesday, as people had told him they'd noticed how down I am and that I'm not my usual self. Since it was after our last meeting, he wanted to see how I feel now. I basically told him I feel hurt, that if I'd known, I wouldn't have left my last place and definitely wouldn't have recruited my old colleague. He said it was a professional decision and had nothing to do with me as a person. He gave me some feedback. She's calm under pressure. Doesn't make little errors like I sometimes do when I'm stressed, doesn't take criticism personally, and doesn't get angry when people are angry with her, whereas I need to work on those last 2 points. He said to give my promoted colleague my support, learn from her, etc. I personally don't agree, and think I could train myself in those things. I was pretty annoyed by the learn from her spiel, but I just bit my tongue. He also said that since her last role was senior on her CV, it's far easier to make someone a manager when they've already done it on paper, especially when he's talking to his managers. He stressed again that I'm an amazing asset, still the best worker in the team, and that my technical and legislative knowledge is the best. He said my data analysis skills are very powerful, and the reports I create are very helpful, especially for his bosses, who notice how valuable my skills are. They still mentioned to him how good the bespoke report I made shortly after joining the company was. He said just because I'm not a manager doesn't mean I'm less important. I replied that while that's all well and good, it isn't going to give me the pay rise I want or the satisfaction of reaching my personal and professional goals. He said maybe I shouldn't see being a manager as the be-all end-all and instead consider a technical role and pursue the other level 4 technical qualification rather than the management course. That way, I could develop my knowledge and technical skills even further. He said hardly anyone goes that route, but I definitely should, and become the technician of the team, the one everyone goes to for advice, and who develops the department's procedures more. He said that while it might not increase my salary immediately, being qualified that way and having that unofficial role could allow him to make a case to his bosses to create an official senior role just for me. That way, I could be paid more on par with a manager, but without having to manage people. And failing that, one of his long-term goals is to increase our importance in the company hierarchy and raise our personal grades and salary bands, so that eventually, even if I'm not a manager, I'll still be paid well. He admitted it wouldn't happen overnight and won't be imminent, but he'll do his best. He told me to think about it, not do anything rash, give 100%, and that we'd discuss it at my annual appraisal in 3 months. So in a nutshell, and this is me summarizing, not him saying it, she's better than me. Be her lackey, and I won't be promoted. But keep working hard to make everyone else look good in the vague hope the big bosses eventually give me a pay rise. This could take years. The course takes a year minimum, and then I'd have to stay another 2 years so I wouldn't have to repay the cost. By then I'll be in my mid-40s, which is really too old to be getting a first-time manager role in my profession. I was pretty down after that, and have just kept to myself. I haven't slacked, but I haven't busted my butt either. She, the promoted colleague, messaged me asking if we could go for a walk at lunchtime on Wednesday to clear the air and talk. I told her I'd rather not, that I just want to think for a bit and don't have anything to say. She respected that, left me alone, and said we could talk when I'm ready. I'm sick of talking things out with people like this. I just want to think for myself for a while without anyone trying to convince me of something that suits them or trying to make me feel okay. They only ever talk at you, never listen to you. I've also put my CV out there in a few places. I got a message quite quickly from an old client I dealt with in my last job, asking if I wanted to talk about a senior role at their company in my profession. I had a Teams chat earlier, and it went well. They'll let me know soon if it's going to a formal interview. I think this is a case where there is a bit of truth on both sides. Someone has to actually make the sausage, and you have shown your value in that. It is far much harder to find or replace those individuals. Also, you showed and communicated your emotions in a much too temperamental way directly with others you work with, especially for a potential management individual. Effectively, you have probably reached as high as you are going to go at your current place of employment. I do not think you are wrong in assuming it will take multiple years to possibly promote up. Agree with this. Time to move on. And by the way, some kudos to the friend who got the promotion. She hasn't ratted you out for intending to leave, and that should tell you something about her. Sorry that you have to go through this. I agree with the part that your promoted colleague is not at fault here. It was not her decision who to promote. Your manager is full of it. I am very happy you are not playing their game and are looking for other opportunities. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing bad about being the technical lead and having a senior IC role to get a salary bump. I actually preferred that route for a long time. However, it is only a good option if the company has a valuable employee who needs a salary raise and does not want to be a manager. Then yes, inventing a new tech role for them is a way out for everyone. It absolutely is not a good option to keep a person who wants to transition to the management track in an IC position. Your manager just wants to keep benefiting from your technical skills without providing the reward and compensation you are seeking. Hope to hear your updates about a new job. I mean, it sounds like OP would not be a particularly good manager, so it's unsurprising they'd prefer OP did things they were actually good at. Doesn't mean I have to like it though. You don't have to like it. But the question you should ask yourself is whether the manager title, pay rise, and all the managerial BS that comes with being a manager is what you really want. Or do you really want the recognition for your work and the pay rise that should come with it? I say this as someone who shifted into a managerial role from an individual contributor, was good at it, loved the pay rise, but hated all of the personnel management stuff that came with it. I never minded fighting for my staff, but having to have conversations with grown adults about unprofessional language in the workplace and the constant fights for budget to properly train and retain my staff with senior management wore on me enough that I found a new senior-level individual contributor position elsewhere. That's all well and good, but I'm not going to sacrifice my career to uplift someone else. I've done that enough in my life. My God, the corporate sims in this comment section. Last one read so much better. You reacted just how most people I know would, after being repeatedly passed up for promotions, after being told they'd be up for one. Yeah, you're going to be down. The only reason they're trying so hard to put you back in your place is because you're valuable to them there. But they clearly don't care about you beyond that. Quick story time for you and everyone else who thinks this is acceptable. I had a teammate on a former team of mine look at the metrics and find something he loved doing that had at least 40 hours a week of work tied to it. He pitched it to management. Their response, "Oh well, do it. And your normal position for a month to prove there's enough work and we'll move you into it." So he was working 100 to 120-hour weeks for a month because he really believed in and wanted the new position. After a month, "Oh, you showed there's enough work, but we really like you in your old position, so go back to that, and we're hiring someone for the new position." Yeah, he was down and pissed for the 3 weeks it took him to transfer teams. It ruined the rep of the team for a lot of internals as well. I probably didn't help there either, lol. I was mad too. You made it very clear what your goals were and they spit in your face. The fact they didn't talk to you about this or coach you before all of this proves the point, and by all rights should shut up all the corporate lovers in these comments. But they're too busy dreaming of being the boss, so they can be jerks like your boss was. Good luck getting the management position with a client. I hope it's what you want. The senior technical position also sounds okay if you choose to pursue that elsewhere, but I sure as crap wouldn't pursue it under people who disrespected me like this. Second update a week later. Thanks to everyone who took the time to reply to my previous 2 posts, by the way. Really appreciate it. First and foremost, I didn't get that job. Got a call from my old client contact to say they're going to try and cope with the resources they have in-house for the foreseeable future and see if it's a success. But he stressed they thought I was great. I'm the sort of person they'd recruit if they were going to recruit. So he said he'd keep my CV and details on file, and if it doesn't work 6 to 12 months from now, I'd be first on the list for an interview. I personally think it's all a load of bollocks, and I'll never hear from him again. So if I do, I'll eat my own butt. I've also been applying for more jobs. A recruitment agent rang me about one, and it seemed promising. But as typical UK recruitment agent BS, they then contacted me back not long after, saying they didn't go for me but they'd keep my details on file, get in contact if there's anything suitable, etc. Everything else is no good, either for less money or, if it is okay, too far away in the country to even commute realistically. But I'm keeping my eyes open and am very selective. I've checked out at work now and am doing the basics. I've had enough now, just don't want to be here anymore. I'm doing the minimum this week and also doing my contracted hours, getting in on time, leaving on time, having my exact lunch break and not eating at my desk. People keep asking me if I'm okay, and I've just said, yeah, I'm fine. They're also asking for my usual dad jokes, as it's been a couple of weeks, and I've said I don't have any. Our department deputy manager, Big Boss's deputy, not recently promoted colleague, came back from holiday Monday and was talking to us all, and they mentioned this work experience person who's coming in next month. She said the plan was for her to sit with me for the time she's with us and get me to show her things, train her, etc. I said no, I don't think I'm comfortable with it, and to get her to sit with someone else. She asked why, and I said to chat with our manager or newly promoted colleague about it. She just went quiet and I didn't hear anything more. Manager has been working from home, so I haven't seen him. Also, we've been taking on some different work from the whole restructuring thing, and there's this one task/procedure we're going to have to do. A few people on my team were talking about it, including the promoted colleague. Instantly, I knew the sorts of things we should do. Create a new database or spreadsheet, get IT to write particular codes, write this sort of report to use, and have people check in a certain way. But I kept quiet, didn't say anything. Someone asked me, "What do you think? This is right up your alley, this." I just said no idea. I think management should look at it, which kind of ended my input in the conversation. Promoted colleague is now starting to train with a deputy in the tasks that she's going to take over from her and the manager in the restructure. Also, she's been included in the team manager's calls and meetings, and I've seen it all in front of me. Feels like rubbing salt into the wound. I also didn't go to the celebratory meal that was held to celebrate the promoted colleague's promotion last night. Deputy manager and another colleague who's been on holiday too decided to book something as soon as they heard about the promotion and said we need an excuse to do something social. I said no, it's my karate class and I'm not missing a lesson. People were going, "No, come, don't be a Grinch, you can miss a lesson, mate," and weren't really giving me an opportunity to say no. So I said I'll see what I can do, and we're at work all week. And then I just didn't turn up. I had a few WhatsApp messages in the work group chat and texts, but I said sorry, can't leave my class early. I just guarantee they'd be bitching about me, lol. It's my work from home day today, and I've not heard from anyone this morning yet, not even to ask me any questions. I think people are catching on now. I dare say when I'm back in next week and the manager is in the office, I'll probably be having a sit down with him and the deputy and have another chat. Look forward to it, not lol. Third update. I wasn't expecting to update so soon, but today was quite unexpected. I got into work and my manager and deputy asked to see me in the office. I went in and they had this printout on the desk and asked me to read it. It was my posts, including the one about the self-harm, which has been shared elsewhere, and they asked me if I could confirm if it was me. I was so shocked I didn't know what to say, which definitely isn't like me, so I just didn't say anything. The deputy then asked if they could see my arms, and I didn't really have the motivation to refuse, so I showed them. They were really shocked. And my manager was just like, bloody hell, mate, looking at my burns. I asked how they knew, and they said my promoted colleague saw it on social media and told them because she was really concerned. He said that if he hadn't seen the posts, he'd be having a very different conversation with me, but they can't ignore it anymore and just want to help me now. He said they'll write last week off and start again, but I need to help myself now and seek help. He said he's arranged for me to have a meeting with our employee assistance program this week, and it's non-negotiable now. I said it doesn't matter though. My career is screwed, isn't it? And I'll never progress. And he said I really shouldn't be worrying about that for now. He stressed that he's still very serious about the technical role and has spoken to his boss about it. And if I can demonstrate I'm serious about it and do the course, it definitely could happen. It's not just a fob off. But I need to concentrate on my mental health for now, as it's far more important than money. My deputy tried to talk to me and just said, "This reminded me of my dad when I read it. It's really upset me," and couldn't talk anymore and looked like she was going to cry a bit, so she let the manager carry on. He said to me that he's not just my boss, he's my friend, and he really doesn't want to see me struggle, so he wants to help. We've agreed I can take the week off. I'll use some annual leave so I can clear my head. He'll tell the team whatever I want. I said I don't mind them knowing the truth, that I'm not doing so well, as it's pointless to lie. We shook hands, and that was it. Later on, his boss took me to one side, as he's in the office today, and he basically asked me how I am, and I said not so good. He said he knows I can do it, and he showed me his wrists. He's got scars, and he said he was in a bad way years ago, so he knows how it is, and that I can talk to him anytime. I messaged my promoted colleague and said thank you, I really appreciate it. She just sent me a smiley face back. This is likely to be my last post about this, at least for a while. My boss said he thinks I should try to stay offline for a bit, and I do agree. Thanks again to everyone for taking the time. Really do appreciate it. Fourth update 4 months later. Apologies to all those of you who have checked in on me. I'm still here. I was looking at checking out, but the past couple of months have motivated me to live out of pure spite. Not long after my last post, our team hired someone in a technical and compliance role, similar to what my manager said I'd eventually be trained into. She's technically now also ahead of me in the hierarchy. When I challenged him on it, he said it had always been in his plans and that it didn't change anything about my future. But then he and my deputy manager tried to ask me to train her in the sorts of things I know and tried to make me her buddy. I refused, which made things awkward, and said my promoted colleague should do it. I'm not going to teach someone who is, again, ahead of me in role and responsibility how to do their job. If she asks me how to do something, I lie and pretend I don't know. It's not easy because she is a nice person, and it's hard to watch people not know something I can do with my eyes closed. But at the same time, I'm not going to make someone else's life easier while mine isn't. Then I had my annual performance review. I was marked as below expectations. When my manager gave me feedback, I was marked down on things that only my colleagues could have fed back to him by whining behind my back. Which is stupid, because they're all silly errors everyone on the team makes, but because it's me, it's somehow worse. Thankfully, I've been writing things down when I see them over the past few months, so when I said, well actually, you're marking me down for this, but this woman made the same error on this date and I never said anything, he backed down. I argued myself up to meets expectations, but the tone was very different. I went from an asset to an imbecile in his eyes. Then, at the start of 2026, I was called into a meeting and told I was up for review for redundancy. The official line was that every department had to nominate someone due to the business downturn, but the sort of crap they used as excuses made it obvious it was personal. They wanted me to accept the company's basic package, a month's pay in lieu of notice, and 3 weeks ex gratia pay. I knew it was a cop-out, so I refused and put in a complaint with HR about my treatment. I named specific people: my manager, my manager's manager, the deputy manager, the supervisor, the promoted colleague in my previous posts, and the new compliance lady. I gave specific examples of things I'd noticed, and it went to a big meeting. Most of the stuff I said was trivial, but my reasoning was that if I'm going down, I'm taking them with me. As you can imagine, my complaint went nowhere, but it made it harder for them to just make me redundant. So I was offered a better package as a settlement. The usual month's pay in lieu of notice, the company basic, because I have less than 2 years service to qualify for statutory redundancy, 3 weeks ex gratia, an extra month's ex gratia, and the equivalent of my holiday pay that I had taken, calculated until the end of the ex gratia period. All ex gratia, so tax-free. So I ended up with nearly an extra week of holiday pay on top of the 7.33 weeks, which was rounded up to 8 weeks. Essentially, I'm paid until the end of February, taxed, plus 8 weeks tax-free. I knew I wouldn't get more than that, so I accepted, and my official last day was yesterday. Because my position was untenable, their words, I was put on garden leave for the month. They actually thought I'd want to have a leaving meal too. I refused. I also rejected my leaving present. It was sent to my house, and as soon as I saw it being delivered, I refused delivery. It didn't look like much anyway. I also binned the card they sent me without opening it. I've refused all contact with people there and blocked everyone on my social media. So as of 1st February, I'm officially unemployed. It's been nice to have a break though. I possibly have a new job lined up too. A client from my last job is stopping outsourcing and bringing what I do in-house, so I was approached last week by my old contact there about the role. Despite not being officially trained as a manager in my profession, it's a managerial role, and the money is really good, about £6,000 more. I have an interview lined up this coming week, and it looks promising. Knowing the company, they'll pay for the professional training to become a manager too, and it's something I'll definitely ask for. So to summarize, I was made redundant because I made life difficult, I got a better deal, and I'm now officially unemployed. However, I have a good job lined up at a company I'm on really good terms with. Last update, I have got the job. I went for the interview yesterday, and they loved me. I start on the 1st of March, negotiated a later start date so I don't get stung for pay as you earn from revenue and customs. I am so ecstatic, best I've felt in ages. Last story. Am I the a-hole for taking my apron back mid-shift, leaving my coworker to get dress-coded? I'm 19 female, and the coworker is somewhere around 21 female. I don't know her exact age. I work in food service, somewhere with a kind of strict dress code, and one part of it is that every day we need to come in wearing these half aprons that go over our legs. I have 2 of these aprons and usually switch them out halfway through my work week, since I only do laundry once a week and they get dirty. But about 2.5 weeks ago, my coworker came up to me and asked to borrow one of my aprons, since she knew I had an extra. She said she left her single one at a friend's house. I agreed. 2.5 weeks ago, I agreed. But that's a while, and I feel like she should have gotten hers back by now. I've been having to do extra loads of laundry to keep my apron clean, which cost me money and time. I specifically bought the extra apron with my own money. We can order extra clothes or merch if we want to avoid that issue. I've been reminding my coworker every day for about a week that she needs to get her apron and that I want mine back. But she keeps making excuses about her friend's house being far away and says she doesn't want to drive to get it yet. She said needing to do extra laundry for a bit is not a big deal, but her not wanting to drive isn't my problem. The apron is mine. Today at work, I demanded it back at the end of my shift, which is a few hours before she gets off. This meant she ended up getting a point and dress-coded by our manager. She begged me to let her keep the apron for the rest of the shift at least, but I refused because she's had it long enough and could have gotten her own by now. Am I the a-hole for taking it back and making her get dress-coded at work? 2 weeks to return clothing that gets her through one workday is long enough. You did your act of kindness, not the a-hole. You're not the a-hole, but your employer also needs to be called out. It's ridiculous to only provide one apron. Back when I waited tables, they provided a couple of shirts, which we laundered ourselves, and the aprons were commercially laundered with the chef's whites and table linens. If they're expecting you to show up with a spotless apron every day and they're not washing them, they should provide at least 3. The last time I had to use a laundromat, I was shocked at how expensive it had become. I agree, we also only get one single shirt and have to buy more.